I'm with the band. Music and interviews you're going to like.
Welcome to I'm with the band here on The Mesh. I am your host, Andrew Moose. If this is your first time listening, I'm with the band invites musicians and bands of all types to discuss their current projects, their touring lives, and their lives as musicians. Of course, thank you for listening, and we hope that you do subscribe to this podcast and get all these episodes directly sent to you. This episode of I'm with the Band is produced in partnership with the No Contact Concert Series, Codex Sound, and Midwood Entertainment. If you're considering advertising on the Mesh Podcast Network, it's a super low-cost way to reach a targeted audience. And I've heard only the people who listen to Mesh podcasts are rich and beautiful, and all they want to do is spend money with your company. So I digress. Today, we are currently podcasting remotely away from the beautiful Mesh Studios in downtown Hickory, and are currently in the COVID-19 pandemic. So during this time when venues aren't able to schedule shows, our good friends over at Midwood and Codex have partnered, and they're producing the No Contact Concert Series, which really helps bands and fans interact with one another via the World Wide Web. And so my guest today on I'm with the Band is playing the No Contact Concert Series this Saturday, June 27th, 8 p.m. I'd like to welcome to the show Gray Brewster of RevelWood Mission. What's up, man?
Hey, Andrew. Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, no worries, man. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about RevelWood Mission. Where are you guys based out of?
Based out of Charlotte, and we've been together for a little over 3 years, and a couple of us are sort of Charlotte natives, and another guy had moved down from Asheville. So that's sort of the genesis of it.
Right on. So I guess we just start at the beginning. I got wind and heard of you guys through this concert series, and I got to be able to listen to your newest album, "Stirring the Haunts." And the first thing that stuck out when I saw the album on iTunes was the cover and that creepy schoolhouse that's on the cover. Like, let's just start there. Like, what's up with that?
Sure. So I had visited a place called Lansing, North Carolina. It's north of West Jefferson. It's kind of northern North Carolina mountains. Several years back, and it's owned by a couple of local sort of different media artists, and they wanted to create a. They found this old school that was built back in the 30s, and sort of as a local place where where all these sort of rural kids of all these grades could come together and get, I guess, some more formal schooling. And it survived all the way up through the 80s. And some students, I guess, would stay on site versus heading back and stuff like that. So there's a couple of adjacent buildings that are sort of dormitory style stuff. And our friends had bought this or found this defunct school, which had sort of been run down and out of use for a number of years, I guess in the early 90s or mid 90s, and bought it and decided to turn it into an artist retreat. And it's a pretty amazing place. It's in this small little town with literally one stop sign, and yeah, just this random pizza joint that's just fantastic. I had initially gone up there, and when I walked into the school, all of the vaulted ceilings and these high framed windows that kind of look out west and let all this pouring, streaming in light. They had all the walls were taken down to the studs, and everything was hardwood floors, and the acoustics were just amazing. And it was like, I need to bring this band up here. So I talked to the guys, and we decided we were going to go up and kind of just track some stuff to kind of flush out some ideas that were originals, and see what these tunes sounded like. And by the time we were kind of done and about to head home the next day, we listened back and we were like, man, this is really cool. This is great. And our drummer Tim has a friend in Boston who he said, we should just send these tracks up to him and get him to do a pass at mixing them. And he mixed them, he mastered them, he sent it back to us, and boom, we didn't even know we were. I mean, it was all done sort of like on our own recording gear. But we didn't know we were recording anything we were going to put out, and it ended up being a really great experience. So the second time we wanted to do a record, we had a whole lot of understanding about what to do differently and what worked and what we wanted to do this time. So we went and did the exact same thing for our second record, which is Stirring the Haunts. And on the cover of that record is this ominous, haunted old school, which is pretty cool.
Knocked down, kicked in the face, took a bed and lost it.
when I was listening to the album, let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. There's a few things that really, really stand out, and it's that your guitar tone is unbelievable. I really, really enjoyed it, and those huge B3 Leslie fills are great. There's really turned me on to that album, and it's like I was just trying to think like what I would compare it, and I hate comparing, but it's like the Drive-By Truckers and the Black Crowes had a kid.
Nice.
And
not a bad combo. Yeah,
you're right. It's not, and it's a really good Southern rock album. I mean, is that what you guys were going for?
I think I'd had for many years through different various bands that I'd played in, kind of a sound that I grew up with. I dug a lot of different things across the board. It wasn't just Southern rock or stuff like that, but it's I love everything from Al Green to the Beastie Boys to Rage Against the Machine and Ry Cooder and Joni Mitchell and all this. There's so much great music out of the 20th century. It's just insane. But what was coming through in my tunes, and I guess the ideas I had and what I wanted to play, was really just very simple, straight up rock and roll, just really powerful, big guitars. A lot of, I was always a huge fan, obviously, of the rhythm section, to say like Zeppelin, or even things, John Paul Jones as bass player, or Paul McCartney, and and drums that sounded thick and big and driving, and all these integral pieces that sort of felt like four even legs under a table. You can't just take one of them away to some degree. And so when I started fleshing out a lot of these songs, and for the first record, a lot of those songs were songs I had for a while. I had kind of bided my time for a long while looking for the right players. And when the pieces fell together, boom, I was like, I recognized it in the drummer, recognized it in the bass player. I knew they were something special that I wanted to play with. And, we got keys for a while. And so, yeah, a lot of these are influences that we all share. But as a primary songwriter, I guess, they just kind of come out, and I can't really sort of say, oh, well, my songs sound like this. It's sort of, I'm a little baffled when I listen to it. I know it all sounds familiar, but I can't always pinpoint where.
Yeah, for real. It's always wild when you write a song, when you originally write it, and then what it actually ends up being, either on an album or on a stage. It's what I'd like to tell the listeners, just like, it's never the same. Yeah. It's never how you think it's going to sound.
Yeah,
I think anyway.
Well, certainly, hearing these songs in my head and knowing like, okay, that sounds big. I think that sounds pretty slamming. And the key was finding the right players. So when all of a sudden I heard these guys playing these ideas, it was like, whoa, yes, that's as good, if not way better, with a twist of everybody's own personal playing, which is, better than the version of me playing all the instruments in my head or imagination. So.
I can't forget the cafe wine or candlelight, and I can't explain the things we said that night. To look at you now breaks my heart 1,000 times, like every time before. And I can't change you, and you can't change me, and we can't change anything. It's never meant to be. Something makes me want to leave everything I know for something I can't see. And though you're beautiful and you bring me to my knees, there's something about your love makes me want to leave. You couldn't say that what we had was ever wrong, and I wouldn't dare deny. And we couldn't count the miles lost between us now. Wouldn't matter if we tried. 'Cause I can't change you, and you can't change me. We can't change anything. It's never meant to be. Something about your love makes me want to leave everything I know for something I can't see. And though you're beautiful and you bring me to my knees, something about your love makes me want to leave. Something about your love makes me want to leave everything I know for something I can't see. And though you're beautiful and you bring me to my knees, something about your love makes me want to leave.
Funny story. The bass player we had a mutual friend. We had never met each other. We had never heard of each other's names, but we happened to know the same like 175 people and had both been in Charlotte for over 2 decades. It was like, how in the world had we not ever even heard of each other? And then like all of our best buddies were like, oh, I never put the two of you guys together. It was like, what? But it kind of happened serendipitously, I think, because around the same time that I ended up meeting Carrie, the bass player, I was trying to put this band together with several other folks and just wasn't really getting any traction. And it didn't seem to be going anywhere. And so I reshuffled the deck and was wondering kind of what was going on. Now, my wife and I had been big fans of a band, which is stylistically very different from us, but out of Asheville, called Stephanie's Id. And we had seen them in Charlotte. We had seen them in Asheville, and we had just been going to see them when we could, off and on, for, I guess, 6 years or so. I remember halfway through it, I remember going to shows and saying, that drummer is it. That drummer's got the sound, man. That's it. And but this guy I didn't know. He played another band, lived 2 hours away, whatever. So one day I get a random email and it's like, "Hi, my name's so-and-so. I got your name and number from so-and-so. I'm a drummer and I just moved down from Asheville. I'm looking to make music my full-time thing." And I was like, "Tim Haney, how do I know that name? Tim. Oh my gosh." And so I put two and two together and I immediately emailed him back and was like, "Hey man, I'm not trying to sound creepy, but I know exactly who you are. And I've been a huge fan of your playing and your band for a long time." And that band was starting to kind of go its separate ways. They'd had a cool run of things, and but he had moved to Charlotte, and we got together and just realized we kind of wanted to do the same thing. And bass player that I literally have just met that's really kind of lit me up, man. He's a fantastic bass player. He's a solid guy, and I think we should sort of talk with him. So that's kind of how things got going.
With all these shows that have been canceled through the pandemic and all that good stuff, there's a lot of bands that are going to the online streaming and try to connect with their fans. So what have you guys been doing? Obviously besides playing the No Contact concert series,
Yeah.
Coming up Saturday.
I guess when this whole thing happened, we were just kind of looking at a bunch of dates this year to do. And we had some stuff in Asheville, some stuff in Nashville, and we were looking to head to Georgia, and then that all just kind of went kaput. And we had been playing a number of things. We'd certainly worked with Codex Sound before, and absolutely loved them playing out at the Whitewater Center for River Jam. And Micah Davidson from Midwood Entertainment has been a great supporter of the band as well. And so when this opportunity came around, we had basically been thinking, we just need to sort of sort out like what's happening in the greater globe scheme of things, and figure out when we're going to be able to play live again. Because what's unique about the No Contact concert series, especially for a band like us, is that we can do what we do, totally do what we do. And that's just to bring it, kind of balls out as much as we can. And without that opportunity, I think we would have, still been kind of wondering. We do have an outdoor gig at the Whitewater Center for River Jam as their calendar opens up in July. And and we're playing out there on the 24th of July. So we had thought about doing some more writing and so on and so forth. We had gone to do 3 tracks at a buddy of mine's studio up in Durham in the fall. And so I think rather than try and throw that into a new batch of tunes that we wanted to do for a new record, hopefully later this year, we just kind of wanted to put those 3 tunes out there, as singles or whatever, and just kind of have it be a simple little, like, here's 3 tunes, it's a little
right.
bit.
I've noticed that a lot of bands are going to I don't want to say limited EPs, but 5 or 6 songs on an album, and put those, handful out. Do you think that's more of a produced out of necessity, or is that just how folks are writing these days, or why do you think that trend's happening?
I think for the idea of I have to save this for a record is so many artists are different. I've heard artists that have been like, I write for a while, I make a record, I don't write for a while, and then when it's time to do a new record, I get in the writing mode. And then other people who are like, I never stop writing, and so I just have these sort of bubbles of time where I'm able to sort of record them all, put them all together, and then put them out, and then I can move on to the next thing. And I guess the thing that comes to mind is like the Rolling Stones going through Muscle Shoals and recording Brown Sugar, like they were in the middle of a tour. So whatever. And bands of that stature at that day and age, like that would just kind of happen. They'd be in and out of the studio, and they might hit somewhere along the way and just drop a track, that they've just written or something like that. And I guess when you realize that it can be done any different way you want to do it, the cosmos kind of works its way. We had these 3 tunes, and we wanted to get them together. but we didn't see them in a bigger sort of thing. It was just sort of an opportunity to record with our friend Ryan Pickett, again up in Durham at his studio. And I've known Ryan for a long time, and he had mixed "Stirring the Haunts" for us, and he was like, "Man, you got to get the band up here. This is really cool." Because again, we had done all the tracking ourselves, and he was like, "I'd love to have you guys in here." So he's busy. He's a front of house for like Ray LaMontagne and My Morning Jacket and Leon Bridges, and he's doing a lot of stuff. And he was like, let's get this together in the fall. So we planned it out. We went up there for several days and did these tracks. And then that was that. We kind of thought we would be revisiting that to see what happened in the natural course of things. And the natural course of things was that, the first of the year came around and we were looking to book shows and think we might be getting back up there to Ryan to do some more tracks, perhaps. And then the COVID thing happened. Dates started getting canceled. We still loved these tunes and, had been playing them live for 6 months or so. And so we just kind of came to the conclusion. We were like, that was a really cool several days, and let's just put it out. And, and then we can focus on another thing because we don't feel any pressure to have to, churn out an album or put this with another batch. And they all came together. Those 3 songs came together at one point in time. And so they kind of fit together real well.
Awesome. And again, we're talking with Gray Brewster of RevelWood Mission. And they are playing the No Contact concert series this Saturday, June 27th. And what I'd like to ask you, Gray, is, we ask a lot of our guests this. What's your favorite venue to play in North Carolina?
Oh, man.
It's not like picking a kid, but what's your favorite venue?
Oh, man. That I've played with this band, or just in
a venue that you might even have not been able to play yet that you just like going to see shows at.
Sure. Well, I think that Charlotte is very, very fortunate to have some cool places.
I agree.
Brown Brothers up at the Visual Light have done a great thing for the Charlotte music community and have done it for a long time and have done things that don't just pertain to their venue. And certainly Joe Coolman and the folks at the Evening Muse have been doing the same thing and running a real nice spot. Both 2 different feels. The Neighborhood Theater, we've played. We did something for a sort of a benefit several years ago in the big room, but as of late, we've been doing shows at the Neighborhood Theater, sort of in the smaller room. That's a capacity of 200, something like that, and they've done a great job with that space. I've enjoyed seeing some bands there. We got a chance to play with Trigger Hippie, which was really cool, out of Nashville, and did our own show back in January. So those venues are very cool. We've done, several, shows elsewhere that are cool as well. We had a CD release at Free Range Brewing, which is a Max Music venue as well, back in April for Stirring the Haunts. Had a fantastic night and horn section and all kinds of stuff to join in. And it was a great, great turnout and a fantastic night. And so, yeah, places like that are all very cool for Charlotte. Play other venues, certainly. I've not played the Asheville Music Hall. That's a cool spot up in Asheville. Of course, the Orange Peel I'd love to play, and seen a number of bands there. Cat's Cradle, Lincoln Theater. Haven't been there with this band per se, but would love to get up there. And Durham's got a couple of really cool spots as well. So
that's right. Yeah, we're very, very fortunate with the amount of venues that we have in North Carolina and the great venue owners that are just hopefully keeping their head above water through all this. And if once we're able to gather together, I recommend and really highly suggest everybody go out there and listen to live music, because those small venues are definitely going to need it. But we'd also like for you guys to head over to the mesh.tv and check out all of our other shows on our network and subscribe to those shows. So all of those podcasts can be beamed directly to your favorite listening device. I'd like to thank Gray Brewster again from RevelWood Mission. Thanks, man. I really appreciate you coming on off.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andrew. It's a pleasure talking with you.
No doubt. And we're going to listen to some more music from RevelWood Mission. And this one's called Hole in the Sun. Gray, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so this was a fun song. I'd had this for a while. I brought it to the band. And it wasn't really like some of the other sort of straightforward rock and roll ones. It kind of had a nice sort of funky groove pocket going on. And when it came together, there were a lot of different elements that I felt really sort of shined through this. There's a middle segment that was kind of fun to put together. I had been humming this tune over this section of the song that seems to be somewhat out of time with the rest of the song, but in a pocket of its own. And I remember telling the guys when we were putting it together, I was like, I'm singing this tune, this melody, but da 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 da. And I was like, I got to come up with some lyrics for that. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to go. And I remember all of them looking at each other and looking at me and being like, lyrics? That's a horn part, right? And I was like, what? I've never even thought of that. So immediately, and this is the great thing about working in a collaborative situation with people whose instincts you appreciate and dig, and you work together well, bouncing ideas off. I was like, oh gosh, well, I hadn't even thought of that. Okay, well, let's go with that. And our keyboard player at the time and I started working with sort of horn arrangement to this, and then had a local horn player, Philip Howe, who was friends with Kerry, our bass player, come in, and the part that he laid down was incredible. He played, I don't know how many horns, but he can do it all. And it became really, really big. And sure enough, when it came to the CD release party, it was like, we need the horns. Like, that's crazy, but we need the horns on this one song. And it was probably one of the highlights of the night. So it was a lot of fun putting this together. And sort of there's a big sequence at the end of the song before big ending that was neat, with all these sound bites and things like airplanes and voicemails with French voices, French speaking voices, and different sort of street sounds and all this. It was a little bit like what's the song on Abbey Road that's like and it kind of gets chaotic. And so that was fun to put together. And here it is.
Right on. Well, real quick, Gray, tell everybody where they can find you guys.
So you can certainly find us at revelwoodmission.com. That's RevelWoodmission.com.
That's correct. Your spelling is correct there.
Yeah, we get a lot of RevelWood. And I'm like, no, it's not Rebel. There's nothing like Southern Rebel.
Right.
It's RevelWood Mission. And of course, we're on Instagram, Facebook. You can see a lot of sort of promo videos. And certainly we put out a sort of a 3 to 4 minute video, the making of this video. We had a videographer come up to that old school, and because we knew we wanted to use some footage from this cool space and how we did it. So definitely check that out. Yeah.